mountain that bowed, a story on being humble. High in the northern valley, where cold winds hummed ancient tunes, there stood a tall, proud mountain named Arav. His silver peaks pierced the sky, and his thick coat of pine trees shimmered under the sun. Travelers often paused to admire him. Artists painted him, and poets wrote songs praising him. Arav believed he was the greatest creation in the valley. "Look at me," he would boast to the wind. "I stand above all. The rivers carve around me, the clouds cling to me, and even the sun greets me first every morning." The wind, gentle and patient, would respond, "Greatness is not in height, Arav, but in how we serve others." But Arav only laughed. How could something so small and invisible as the wind understand greatness? The little hill. Not far from Arav lived a small green hill named Pari. She was tiny, barely a quarter of Arav's height, and covered with soft grass and wildflowers. Children played on her slopes. Shepherds rested under her lone banyan tree. Pari never boasted about anything. She bowed gently whenever the wind visited, and she held water in her shallow curves so thirsty birds could drink. Arav often mocked her. "Little Pari," he scoffed one day, "you will never be admired as I am. You are too small, too simple." Pari smiled softly. "Perhaps, but size has never been my purpose." "Purpose?" Arav chuckled. "The valley needs me. I bring them snow, water, protection. You simply sit there doing nothing." The hill didn't argue. Humility doesn't need to defend itself. The sky begins to change. Seasons passed, and the valley continued to flourish. Farmers depended on the rivers that sprang from Arav's melting snow. Travelers still adored his majestic view. Yet something subtle began to shift. The skies grew heavy more often than usual. The wind whispered warnings that Arav ignored. "One must bend sometimes, Arav," the wind said. "Even mountains can." "I do not bend," Arav declared. "Let the storm come. I will stand firm as always." The wind sighed and drifted away. The storm of the century. One night, the valley slept under a fragile stillness. Even the animals sensed something strange. At midnight, the storm arrived. Lightning split the sky. Thunder rolled like angry drums. The heaviest rain the valley had ever seen poured down without pause. Arav, towering above the valley, took the first blow. The wind howled fiercely, pushing against him on all sides. "Bend, Arav," the wind pleaded. "Allow the storm to pass through you." "Never," he bellowed back. "I am the strongest in this valley." But pride made Arav stiff and unmoving. Rainwater rushed down his slopes with fury. Small rocks loosened, then large ones. Trees were uprooted. The land trembled. At the foot of the mountain, villages panicked. Arav's downfall would crush them if he fell. Pari watched with deep concern. Though she was small, she knew she must help. Pari takes action. As the rain intensified, Pari began absorbing as much water as she could. Her grassy slopes acted like a sponge, slowing the flood that raced toward the village. Her banyan tree held tight, its roots gripping the soil like a mother holding her child. Birds, animals, and frightened travelers rushed to her lower slopes for shelter. Her gentle curves protected them from the wind's violent push. The wind passed over her and whispered, "Thank you, little hill." Pari didn't answer. She simply continued doing what she could. Arav breaks. High above, Arav finally cracked. A massive portion of his rocky side broke loose with a deafening roar. Boulders tumbled like wild beasts down the mountainside. Mud cascaded after them, forming a deadly river of destruction. But something unexpected happened. The mudslide split into two paths as it neared Pari. Because she had absorbed and slowed so much water, the ground was softer and the slope gentler. The slide lost its force, divided around her gentle shape, flowing safely away from the villages. The valley was saved because of the tiny hill Arav once mocked. Exhausted, soaked, and broken, Arav looked down in disbelief. How is this possible?" he whispered. The storm continued, but the proud mountain could no longer stand tall in spirit. His heart felt heavier than the rocks he had lost. After the storm, by morning, the valley lay quiet, wrapped in mist. Trees were broken, fields flooded, and debris scattered everywhere. But the people were safe. They gathered near Pari with gratitude. "Pari protected us," the villagers said. "Our homes would have been destroyed without her." Children laid flowers on her slopes. Old men bowed. Shepherds cleaned her pathways. Arav watched all this silently. Never in his life had he seen such genuine affection directed toward someone other than himself, and for someone so small. The wind drifted by Arav's wounded side. "You see now," the wind said gently. True greatness lies in humility. For the first time, Arav did not argue. Arav learns to bow. Days passed as the valley healed. Arav's pride had been shattered by the storm, but something new began to grow in its place: understanding. One dawn, when the sun rose in golden ribbons across the valley, Arav called softly to Pari. "Little hill, may I speak with you?" Pari bowed slightly as always. "Of course, Arav." "I was wrong," Arav said, his voice trembling like loose stones. "All these years, I believed strength meant towering over others. I thought humility was weakness." Pari smiled. "Humility allows one to bend without breaking. That is strength." Arav lowered his peak ever so slightly, something he had never done before. "I want to be like that," he admitted. "Teach me." "There is nothing to teach," Pari replied. "Just listen, to the wind, to the valley, to the people, and even to yourself. When your heart softens, your greatness deepens." Arav nodded slowly, and from that day, something magical changed. He no longer boasted when travelers admired him. He whispered thanks to the rivers he once commanded. He shared his shade with the tiny plants at his feet. He let the wind pass gently through his cliffs without resisting. And whenever he saw Pari, he would dip his peak in greeting, a small bow that carried the weight of his new wisdom. The valley's new harmony, words spread across the land about the mountain who learned to bow. People came not only to witness Arav's beauty, but to hear his story, a tale of pride shattered and humility embraced. Children would play near his base, saying, "Look, even the mighty mountain learned to be humble." Arav didn't mind. His heart was peaceful now. Pari continued to watch over the valley, as steady and unassuming as ever. She never sought praise, yet she received more love than she ever imagined. The wind carried their story far beyond the valley, whispering across forests, deserts, and lakes. "Be humble. Even the greatest among us must learn to bend." Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to watch more videos like this.